Hi, I'm Bill Dugan. I'm the Macintosh High Priest at MacPlay, and we make Macintosh games, and that means that I'm in charge of overseeing Macintosh development. And you know how those Inside Mac Games interviews are always like a guy with a static head that's always against a beige wall? It's always a beige wall for some reason. Instead of doing that, I wanted to take you on a little tour of MacPlay while I answer the interview questions. So here we go. Please begin.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. The question was whether MacPlay is bummed out about the doom and gloom. We all know about the doom and gloom. As a game company, no, I don't really care about the doom and gloom. We're just as committed to the Mac as we ever have been. And in a way, it's one of the good things about being the Mac division of a big game company. We don't have to, if a new console machine appears, we don't have to go revise the whole business plan to go and take advantage of that. I'll just let the parent company do that. Since we're the Macintosh division, we're going to make Mac games forever, and that's it. The only problem that could possibly happen about all the current doom and gloom is if everybody stops buying Macs and people stop buying Mac games, but that hasn't happened yet. People who have Macs want to buy games. People are going to continue to buy Macs. The fact that I don't think the Macintosh can be the dominant computer ever doesn't matter, because there's still millions of people who like the Macintosh. It's their platform of choice, and people who have computers like to play games. So no, the doom and gloom hasn't really affected us that much. Bob? The question was why you sent two was an ask on Macintosh doing simultaneous release and then make simultaneous release. But the thing about doing simultaneous in these games is that there's always going to be one point or everything you think you're going to make. You think you're going to make it, it looks like you're going to make a certain point, so you should press release, and then it just appears to be a simultaneous release, and then sometimes you're just not able to do it. So I hope that makes things clear.
Go.
Okay, the question was what, in my opinion, is Apple finally doing enough to support the Mac? I think Apple has made great strides in supporting game developers for Macintosh game development. The biggest thing is, of course, the game sprockets. The fact that they've committed engineers to doing game technologies really shows that Apple's serious about games, and that they know that games make money for computers, and that they cause people to buy computers, and they're an important part of the image of the Macintosh. That's really the most important thing. Are they doing all they can? Well, of course not. They can keep going with all kinds of programs. Now that they've really committed on the technical side, I think the cool thing would be to implement some programs on the sales side. There's various co-marketing things that we do with Apple. They're doing all kinds of things. So I think they're doing really well as far as games go. And while we're here, this is MacPlay QA. This is where the guys test games. Wave, everybody. That's Descent 2. Descent. There we have the Skins game. There we have a game that's a chess game for kids. And this is where they play games. Look. It's a PowerBook. Is the Mac gaming market growing significantly or appropriately? Well, Mac game sales are growing, but of course they're not growing at the speed of Windows game sales. On the other hand, from a business point of view, one way to look at it is whether the competition is also growing. On the PC side, we have greater growth, but we also have hundreds of competitors, and there's a lot more retail pressure from the other competitors. Of course, on the Macintosh side, we still have problems with retailers not wanting to pick up Mac titles. I mean, I think we've all seen, you walk into a computer store and there's less Macintosh shelf space than there used to be, or you just get we were able to sell a little bit less in, which, let's record that again. Okay. Don't use this, Tuncer. Edit past that. We'll try again.
Okay, and in 3, 2, 1.
Is the Mac gaming market growing significantly or appropriately? I don't know what appropriately really means. It'd be appropriate if it would grow 100% every year as far as I'm concerned, but it is growing. Macintosh sales are growing. We're having some problems identifying how much it's growing, though, because we have some retail pressures. I mean, everybody's walked into a retail store and see that the Mac shelf space has decreased. There's not as much space for the Mac games, and with those guys kind of pushing the Mac out a little bit at certain chains, yet we have a little bit of growth in the number of people with performance. It's kind of difficult to gauge how much it's growing, so that's always difficult to see. But no, the games market's growing on the Macintosh. It's just not growing as fast as on the Wintel version, or on the Wintel side, which I don't really care about. And by the way, this is Vince DiNardo, who's the award-winning producer of the Macintosh game Castle, Siege, and Conquest, and the upcoming Conquest of the New World.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks, Vince.
Anytime.
2.
Okay. Were there any technical difficulties in bringing Descent 2 to the Mac? Descent 2 was... Let's start again.
3, 2, 1.
Mark Allender and Parallax Software kicked ass on Descent 2. We're really proud of them. They did a great job, and the engine in Descent 2 was a little bit more complex. There's a new lighting model, and there's more network things that you can do, capture the flag, and they had to change things there, and there's a lot more weapons and stuff. So from a technical point of view, Mark was able to reuse a lot of the engine code that he wrote for Descent 1, but he did have to make certain changes within the engine. And after answering that, I'd like to introduce Scott and Chip, who are producers working on a game called Shadowin'. Say hi, guys.
Huh? Hi. Shadow. What do you want us to talk about? How about we'll talk about Shadowin'. Shadowin' is going to be on the Macintosh. It is going to use our own proprietary codec called M11, which is written by Paul Edelstein. It is better than Cinepack, in my opinion.
And in 3, 2, 1.
The question was, what does Apple need to do to claim more of the games market? I think in the long term, we've mostly stopped deluding ourselves that the Macintosh is going to be the #1 computing platform. Nobody really seems to believe that anymore. That's fine by me. I'm content with being the best platform. It just doesn't have to be the #1 platform. As far as gaining more market share and getting more gamers in, I think a lot of it has to do with pushing what the hardware can do and then giving the software people the tools to be able to do it. The direction of 3D polygon hardware is incredibly important, and Apple's taken the right steps by getting a bunch of engineers specifically in to work on games. That's the most important step that I can imagine, and I'm really happy that they've done that. For the Mac to make better and better games, they're just going to have to make better and better hardware, and they will keep doing that as time goes on. So they're doing all the right things. They just need to make it easy for us to use. And now I'd like to introduce some programming boneheads. Here we go. There's Tim, and this is Chris, and they work for MacPlay. And this is Quicksilver Software, who makes various Macintosh games. Say hi!
Hi!
Hey. Now say something amusing.
Bye! Bye, Conquest of the New World!
Assholes.
You poo-poo! You caca! I can't say anything else.
What just happened, Rob?
I am so mad. I am trying to switch mices because I want to make a serial port available, but no. You know, because the new machines, they take away all stuff.
The daily frustration of a Windows user. That's okay, Rob.
They took away all the serial ports. You know, you used to have 4.
He's angry.
Now you only got 2, and they put a bus thing in there, and so now I'm trying to put my little bus mouse. And
thanks, Rob.
And, well...
Maybe MIS can help you out.
I don't want them to help me out. I want them to work, because they won't help me out.
The question was, what's on the horizon for MacPlay? Oh, this is Rob Nessler, by the way. He's our director of 3D
Who knows
stuff.
not how to put in a new mouse.
Anyway, what's on the horizon for MacPlay? Well, I think the important thing is that we're just going to keep making Mac games, and you know, we just kicked off 3 or 5 internal titles that we're just going to start working on, and some of the big titles that are coming up are Starfleet Academy, which is going to be a great Star Trek game with awesome 3D technology that we're very proud of. That's a simultaneous development release. It's happening on both the PC and the Macintosh. I hate that Windows sound. And then another one is
Nothing.
we're doing Virtual Pool, which is another really great 3D game. Rob plugged a mouse into a Windows machine and it doesn't recognize it. He's very upset. There's a bunch of more games coming out we're working on. Conquest of the New World is going to be a great strategy game toward the end of the year. And one really exciting thing is going to be VR Baseball, which is going to be, you know, a 3D polygon baseball game. The Mac doesn't have any sports games, and we're doing a sports game, thank God. So that'll be really cool. That's going to be really strange because it's not a MacPlay release. It's being released through our VR Sports division. But of course, at MacPlay, we're helping them out and, you know, telling them what to do. So on the horizon for MacPlay is just going to be more and more games, and we're just cranking out tons of stuff so that you can play. Enjoy!
2, 1.
Will we see any more simultaneous releases, and will we see any Macintosh first releases? Yeah, we're working on several simultaneous release titles. One of the big ones that we're very proud of is a game called Star Trek Starfleet Academy, which I've mentioned before a few times in interviews, but it's something that's been a secret project up till now. Starfleet Academy is going to be a 3D space game that is based on Star Trek, the old Star Trek, the classic Star Trek series that we have the license for, and it uses great polygon 3D technology that we're extremely proud of. It was developed in-house. It's very fast. It's PowerMax only. And that is going to kick ass, and it is going to be out toward the end of the year. It's a simultaneous development project. And personally, I think that simultaneous development projects are the future of making really great Mac games, because instead of getting a crappy port that's an afterthought of the end of a PC project, when you work on things simultaneously, you have the programmer working to identify problems from the very beginning, and a lot of the code gets optimized when code gets optimized early on for both platforms, you get better code. And we found that working on both platforms simultaneously for Starfleet is working really great. We're very proud of the results. There's a few other simultaneous releases that we've done, like Frankenstein Through the Eyes of the Monster and Mummy. Those are both Macromind Director projects, so you know it's a no-brainer to do a simultaneous project. As far as Macintosh first releases, sure, all the time. You know, we did Power Pete. We published Power Pete, which was done by Brian Greenstone of Pangea, and that was a Macintosh-only title, actually. It wasn't ever made on the PC, and we're sure happy to make Mac titles from time to time, and there's no reason why not. As far as Macintosh-only titles, it's a little tougher to justify from a business climate because, of course, they want all the sales from the Wintel side. But there's no reason why, you know, a Macintosh fanatic couldn't come to us with a game that he has on his Macintosh and then, we would just publish the Macintosh version, and then when that's done, maybe think about a PC version. But there's no reason why not. There's going to be some Mac first titles.